when people say the right, wow, so we've not been recording. So okay, when people try to bring in facts to support their opinions, so what you do in that regard is you can leave their opinion aside and fact check those claims which are based on facts. So one of those things that is important about what can be fact checked is that, is it of public interest? For example, now, there was a claim the other day about one veteran Nigerian actor that was rumored to be dead. So, and this claim is something that has been recurrent, which gives the headache about why are people always behind it. And uh, drawing from the health status of the man, it is easy for people to quickly believe that he is dead, which is not so. So because the man, Olu Jacobs, had dementia, and he has dementia and old age, so it is expected that when someone says he's dead, and when someone claims that he's dead, it is easy for people that are susceptible and not able to want to check or verify this information to start spreading it. So I sent an article to the group earlier about the incident at South Port in the UK, and we can see the extent of which that incident and the misinformation that surrounds it brought chaos and killings and destruction to that part of the world. So we've also, in this sense, witnessed something like that in Africa and in Nigeria in particular also, in a situation whereby conflict and uh, issues like this come up by misinformation by certain agents. It might be pro-government, it might be anti-government, it can just be an individual trying to gain tractions on the social media. So one of the reasons why fact checking is now becoming more important to our society is the rise and the the rate at which the world is going. We are in the internet age. And like the article stated, where the writer, quoting the writer now, he said, information, the new age of internet has brought a lot of issues that information that would have taken, like, let's say, 10 days to get to other places can get there in 2 minutes and can lead to utmost chaos instantly. And we've witnessed that even recently. So, like you said, politicians, agencies, individuals share their own misinformation aspects to suit their own agenda. So, when you see information, the first thing that I would want to come to your mind, even as a fact checker, when you see any information, because sometimes most of these claims that we work on sometimes just go on social media, especially on X, to just continue to stroll and stroll and stroll. And I can tell you categorically that since I've been doing this, if I stroll for just 30 minutes, I would bring out 2 or 3 claims that I feel something towards that this might not be true. So it is the ability to have that inquisitive mind that will bring in you as someone that want to work as a fact checker. So if you don't have that inquisitive mind now, you might not be able to, you might see any information and just run along with it. So, and that is part of what we're doing now. We have a community engagement, having individual that does not even have access to the internet. And I can tell you categorically that by survey, most of these people are the more susceptible to misinformation. And you would want to argue why. One, they do not have that access to the internet already. So there is probably little or no way for them to check if a claim is true or wrong. And you would notice that even aside from our community engagements now, we when we fact check, we still share back on these social media and online platforms. So how are we able to cater for those people that do not have access to internet? And directly or indirectly, they have this means by gossip, gist that something is happening. How did the generational lie that Nigeria played India and the score was 9-0, blah blah blah. I'm sure 80% of 90% of us on this call, especially Nigerians, know that story. So it is mostly by word of mouth. So if as a fact checker you want to see the importance of diminishing that viral spread within the internet, the thing is, like I used to have one idea in my mind that, like poverty, misinformation is here to stay. Like is here to stay in the sense that we can only mitigate it but cannot end it totally, because there are different forces within the space. People want to misrepresent facts to suit their own opinion. People want to misrepresent statistics to get their own agenda. So to become a good fact checker, because we're dealing with the basics of fact checking now, you will have to have that inquisitive mind first. And I can tell you that if you don't have that inquisitive mind, you might not be able to work as a fact checker. You might not be able to, you will just be online and the claims are in front of you like this. You might not even know that this is a misrepresentation or something is happening. So one takeaway that I want you to have from this call now is that you have to be inquisitive, even if it is government agency that is releasing its statistics. I think there are certain authorities in this regard actually that you might not want to start, because you cannot say you want to start fact checking National Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria when they bring out stats. Our own is based on surveys and based on practical field work. But let's say uh, I'm taking my example now as I'm a footballer. Everybody knows me as a footballer and I'm influential and everybody know that okay, this person is popular. Then I now come online to make a claim on the health sector. In that sense, first you should be able to be like, this person is not an expert in this regard. So why is he doing this? So that brings in your first aspect of you being inquisitive. Then you can go further by, okay, is this an opinion or statement of fact, or this person is trying to misinterpret the truth? That's another layer to you getting to, okay, now I want to fact check. So when you want to fact check, there are different tools which I'm sure those that are coming behind me would discuss with you, but I would like to mention a few of them, and I'm sure a lot of you know about it. Even from the AI training, speaking to the fellows now, you would notice that some of these pictures, claims, videos, audios are now being done or generated by AI. So we all accept that AI is a good initiative and would help everyone. But there are people that want to still use it for their own ulterior motives, and this is what we are trying to curb. AI can be used to misrepresent facts, can be used to create images that are not real, and it will take you being inquisitive, it will take you being very determined to get to the truth to notice some of these AI generated stuffs. So let's say now you see a picture and you want to fact check, what are the steps that you might likely take? Because in fact checking, there is no really, how do I want to put it, one plain one plain step you can take. I might want to fact check a picture and start by saying, okay, let me even first check the person that shared the picture. Does he have that history of sharing information. I can start from there. You might say, okay, this is just a picture, and you saw it somewhere, you don't know the author, and you want to fact check. Put it on Google Reverse, Google Lens, and every other tool that will be discussed later to check the authenticity. If some images are not even AI generated, but they have been misrepresented. I think we did a claim one time. The road is not actually even in Nigeria at all, and it was linked to Taraba State. And even me, as a fact checker, saw that image, but I don't know if that day I was somehow not really putting my mind. Then I think days later, Sheye worked on the claim and he sent me, and I was like, wow! And I saw this image days ago. Imagine that. But my mind was not actually there. So when he sent it to me and I read what he has written, you know, that gave me in mind that, oh, so this picture was actually not uh, in Nigeria. And I think it is in India also. I can't remember vividly now. So you might have to be able to use some of these tools, and some of them you don't even need any tools, your own mind, because there are some pictures that you would even see. It's just like I think one of the fact check that we did the last time where they said uh or this Donald Trump is speaking on Nigerian issue, saying Tinubu is a fool and all sort of things, and he was uh he put his support behind Peter Obi. Looking at that statement and how it is written, you would definitely know it is false. But not everybody has that ability. Not everybody is a journalist like you, and that is the reason why fact checking is important, to set the record straight. So some of these typologies would be discussed as the training goes on. But another thing I would like to state is that beyond saying, okay, you want to fact check, now you've gone through different sources, you've gone through different search, and you now want to write that fact check. So we in at Fact Check Africa, we have a prototype of how we make our articles and how we write them. So the key components are: what is the claim, and what is the claim should come first, because sincerely, if you are not talking about the claim, then what are you fact checking? You write down the claim, you bring out, if it is a statement, you write out the full text so that the person reading that would know that, okay, this is what was in the claim, and this is the difference that makes it a misrepresentation or misinforming. So when you write out the full text, the next thing you do is, how did you verify? You state them one by one. Okay, let's say, like I said earlier, he was working on a picture that has been posted on X. These are two things now. It first place, then posted on X. So he started by saying he ran the image through Google Reverse, and he noticed that it was a road that had been commissioned earlier in another country. Then he went further to see probably who posted it, then try to put that in the verification and talk about all the process, ran it through Google image. The picture had been posted 2 years ago by so, and it was a picture from this, blah, blah, blah. That is in the verification. Then after the verification, you want to conclude. And I purposely miss out the verdict after talking about the claim, because that should be in part of the conclusion. But you would have to state the verdict up there by our own standard. So you write the claim, you write your conclusion that, going by the verification of so, we notice that this has been blah blah blah. Just your own, in your own words, and put it down there as a conclusion. Then you have a verdict. There are different analysis, and there are different typologies of what a verdict should look like. First is, if the claim is true, one of the verdicts you can write is true. There is force. There is there are a lot of them, not outrightly true. There is I don't know, someone, you can unmute your mic and give examples if you know about this. Verdict for claims. Let's
Um,
say a claim.
on my, can you hear me?
Yes,
S- So I think there are only three that I know. I know about true, false, and misleading.
yes, there's misleading. In recent times, I've seen new nomenclatures of verdicts, and I want to concur with some of those school of thoughts, because there is outright false, and there is, I think, those new nomenclatures, I can't really have a grasp of them. About the three main one is the one we've mentioned, and that is true, false, and misleading. So when you fact check
Sorry,
something
Abib,
and
can
you
I,
see that, okay,
Mr. Abib?
yeah, you can. Yes, you
Okay,
can. Thank you.
so mostly at the DFR lab, like where I do conduct research. So we have mostly we have like almost, yeah, I can remember. I think I can remember just 10 out of this thing, the verdicts that you can be able to this thing to talk about. So I had this in prudence adding to this thing. So what you just have. So there is this because when you have, like, when there is a claim and that claim lacks there are because there are some claims that you can have, and those claims, like, they don't have much evidence or sufficient evidence that they can be
Yes.
used that can be used to verify whether they are true, whether they are false, like all those old grammar myth and all those things. So mostly the verdicts that can be done for that, instead of misleading, we normally use this in the word it's quite different from misleading. So we normally attribute it as unsupported. Then there are this,
Okay.
there are other claims. Sometimes you see that the claim has facts in it, but they will just blow this thing out, the facts out of proportion or out of context. Like there's a little this thing true, there's a little truth to this thing now, to the claim. So mostly we categorize that one as an exaggerated this thing claim. Then sometimes another example that I'm going to give you, there are times whereby you see there'll be a particular claim whereby the claim will now try to, or even correctly attribute a statement, or let's say an activity or an action, to the right person or the entity. So you can see that one,
Yes.
though people call it true, but sometimes in the normal term, it can be called like this in the correct attribution. So something that can be
Mm-hmm.
linked to, because like let me give you a particular statement that was this thing. We're having a session in the fellowship when I think somebody is from Kenya or Zambia, one of the facilitators made an example of the statement by Peter Obi. So whereby people attributed this thing, people attributed the statement or action, they attributed it rightly to him. So if that verdict, you can since it's a claim, so the verdict should be what should be correct attribution. Anyway, those are just terms that we use when it comes to some of the research that we just use. So I'm just adding to, or I'm just contributing to some of the terms that you mentioned. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for adding that context. And like I said, I also just stumbled across some of these things. And fact checking is so, okay, Mr. Hafiz, you can. I think you were raising your hand, so I can conclude with that.
Yes, sorry. It's just to corroborate what has been explained earlier, so as not to give a room for misconceptions. There is actually a method through which verdicts are concluded. In as much as there is no fixed school of thought for arriving at a verdict, I mean, generally collective one yet so far, verdicts are usually arrived at by assessing the typology of claim you're researching and the perceived intent behind it. Then your finding will then result to what you are giving as a verdict. So there are usually, I think currently we have over 9 fake news or misinformation typology, and more
Yeah.
are emanating. So we usually
Yes.
bring the typology of the claim you are researching. If you're researching a parody or an outright falsehood, then the perceived intent behind the claim you are researching and your finding will
Should
determine what you are using
should
as your verdict.
determine.
So,
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, will determine your verdict. So
Exactly.
don't
So
misrepresent the verdict and the typology as well. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So like I was saying, I said I stumbled on some of these things, and I'm trying to have a critical look at why are these people bringing up these verdict typologies again. And if you read through, like Mr. Hafiz just explained now, it's a bit might be a bit cumbersome for someone that is coming into fact checking. But majorly we have those three majorly. And I think for a fact check that is not really that controversial, not even controversial now, that is not really that, I don't know how to put it now, that long, or the analysis are not that too much, like he stated. You might not get to that part where you would have to consider some of those new emerging typologies. So when you put after your verdict, and you can now in your mind say that you've fact checked a claim and you've written an article on it that can be published. So these are the basics here yet. So majorly, the key things that I want everyone on the call to take away is that you have to be inquisitive. You have to be skeptical about anything anyone is telling you. And without that, you might not be able, you might, if you are employed as a fact checker in an organization, if they don't bring claims to you, you might not fact check for a whole year, and you will be seeing misinformation. You will just be doing probably just the popular ones, or the ones that has been written. It is until you see a claim that has been fact checked that you would now want to also do your own. So I would want to indulge all of us as beginners to be inquisitive and wanting to see to the end of every information that is given to us. And lately we started something also, like I think it was Mr. Ali that mentioned something around health claims. There are a lot of misinformation, a lot of, I don't want to relate it to superstition and all this now. They will tell you if you take Maltina and blah blah blah. I don't know if that you would have some of these fact check. You would have to meet experts in the realm of that sector to be able to get the real information to debunk those claims. And when you do something like that, most times I can bet it you that people will tell you that you are doing over sabi, or you want to show that you know the most. And I don't think this should be what you are afraid of. What you should be afraid of is only that, have I done due diligence to what I am standing by? If your conscience is clear that you've done due diligence, and you've probably showed 2 to 3 of your peers that are in the sector, I think you are good to go. So thank you everyone for joining this call. I think I don't know if anyone has questions for me. I can take some questions for the next 5 minutes, then we can move on so that the next person can come in and talk about typologies and all that I've spoken about earlier.
So I think I'll just start. I might have a couple of questions, but there's one that I would need like clarification on because you're doing the introductory part of it. So there is misinformation and there is disinformation. First of all, at a time they were all grouped as fake news, and I think later the other terms started coming up. So I would just want you to distinguish or categorize, just all this plenty English, between misinformation and
Uh,
disinformation. Thank you.
all right. So I would like to state or start with a statement that what people, the word fake news probably emanated in some years not so far from us. And it has been used to, when someone sees something, they'll say it's fake news. It's fake news. In as much as something is fake, it cannot be a news. So even the word itself contradicts itself. So, and we are trying, or we are on a mission, probably most fact-checking organization are trying to correct that notion and put in the right typologies. The right typologies in this sense is misinformation, disinformation. I don't know if I would want to say other part. I know, but I know some of us would know all those things. Misinformation, information disorder. Think of it, but not saying something is fake news. And that is just as, and I think that word, as at last time I checked, was first probably used popularly by Donald Trump, where there was, I don't know if it was an allegation or something about him, and he used the word that is fake news. So, and the word became popular, and everybody started with the rant, fake news is fake news. If they say something that you know is true about you, if they ask you the right word that you would want to use to defend yourself, that is fake news. It is rumor. So to answer your question, misinformation and disinformation are two different things, but just one thing differentiates them. Both are inaccurate information, and but one is the intentionality that differentiate them. One is done intentionally and the other is unintentionally. So misinformation is the one done deliberately, intended to deceive, while disinformation is not deliberate in the sense that, not deliberate in the sense that you do not know that it is not true and you share it. But misinformation is deliberately saying something that you know is not true just to probably persuade public opinion or for your own agenda. So I think that is the most simplest way that you can differentiate the two. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Habib. So I just added one more question. I know that we're running out of time, but as a fact checker and all these times I have been fact checking claims, what's one of the most challenging claim that you saw or you encountered that you eventually conquered?
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't even conquer it. Tell us this
Yeah,
story.
I would like to start with that. The fact that I have not actually been the one writing the fact checks. Sheye, Mustafa, Mr. Hafiz, and every other person have been the one doing mostly the fact checks. But all what they do is what I read also. And I really do fact check. I really fact check because of the other activities that go on in the organization. But I edit most of this fact check. So that I giving credits to those that write the fact check now. So one of the ones that we've encountered, and I mean we, in the sense that some of these claims, when the people I mentioned earlier, I want to fact check them, maybe they now have this mind of, is this thing going the right way? They might want to seek advice on what I think they should do or who we should contact. So I think aside from the fact that AI has brought in new challenge to some of these things, one of the most difficult things to fact check is fact checking claims surrounding probably the lifestyle of a politician or not. And I'll give you for example, when we did a fact check on, I think during the election then, there was one fact check we did. It was very, very controversial. It was around Tinubu certificate. And when we did the fact check, no matter how you say you want to balance everything as a fact checker and so that nobody will see you as a partisan, your verdict and your analysis would tailor towards nothing but the truth, and not everybody wants to hear the truth. So they will come after you and tell you that you're partisan, you are against someone, you are behind someone. And recently we've done something like that again. And when I published that check, I think it was Mr. Mohammed that messaged me, said uh, people that are in the opposite or in the opposition of the current government would come after you, in the sense that most of those claims about the Orlando, and Mr. Fis can bear witness here, most of them are not substantiated, though there were some iota of truth in it and in some of those things. But using the normal analysis and information available, you cannot claim that some of these uh, your claims are the truth, and that's being factual. So if opposition sees it as uh, you supporting that candidate, that is a problem for the organization already. Because a fact-checking organization is supposed to be at the middle. Even as a fact checker, I don't think it should be partisan in the first place. Because when we even started, and our own issue like that is because we started as a election fact-checking organization, and we had a lot of issues with opposition and not opposition. So I think that is one of the major I have encountered and the major threat to some of these things. Even as a journalist also, it's just because a fact checker is just probably basically a journalist also. But you cannot be a journalist if you're not fact checking. You run into trouble. Thank you.
True. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Um, Thank you for your session today. So I'm still acting as a moderator. So thank you for your session today. I think we're co-moderators in this, so you can help me introduce the next speaker.
Okay, I think you might. Let me check. The next speaker is Mr. Mustafa
Yeah,
Lawal,
Mr. Mustafa Lawal.
and he will be speaking and discussing on trying to get this thing now. He'll be speaking on what he wants to speak about, actually. Mr. Mustafa, you can call me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so he's speaking on the practical ends of fact checking.
Actually, of
He
what I
will
have
speak on,
discussed and the
yes,
tools. Thank you.
yeah.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Can everybody hear me, please?
Yes, sir. Welcome. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Mr. Habib, thank you. Roughly, Mr. Habib kind of like touched on most things that I want to talk on, because now you said anything that I want to talk on. But yeah, really, I'll just be talking on the practical aspect of things, and might not essentially be practical because yeah, let's see as much as time will take us to do this. But in essence, let me just kind of like try to refresh our memory as to what Mr. Abib has already said. Fact checking is literally just verifying information. And information as it is can exist in different bits and different forms. So before I go on, I would like try to like establish a fact, because yeah, we are talking fact checking now. So what is facts and what is not facts? I think personally, I think everybody will kind of like agree. What differentiates a fact from what is not is evidence. Can it be confirmed? Can it be verified? And the substance exactly. So when there is something that we can go back to check to confirm, it might be a statement, image, or whatever form that the information exists in form. That is what a fact is. A fact is something that can be substantiated, that has evidence to back it up. Anything other than that is not facts. And anything that is not fact cannot be fact-checked. I hope you get my analogy. I'm going to be asking a lot of questions, please. So we might have to kind of like talk here and ask people to unmute a lot of times. So what I said is, facts is anything that can be substantiated, that is evidence-based. Anything that is not substantiated and does not have evidence to it cannot be fact-checked, be it opinion, thoughts, forecasting, prediction, all of these, because they are kind of like, they do not have where they can be traced to. The origin is kind of like blurry, obscured, so they cannot be fact-checked. So that is in essence what fact-checking is. So typical example, or why is fact-checking even important? To state the fact, the practice of journalism is meant to be based on truth and sharing nothing but the truth. It has been said that truth is even now different. There are different sides to the truth. There is the general truth, then there are partisan truths, like what is true based on biases and perception. But now for fact check, what we are trying to bring into light is what is the general truth. And when we are saying what is partisan truth, we are giving the context to it. Okay, this comes in mostly in points where there are like data. Say for instance, a data that says that let's say a data surveyed opinion in a particular region, and somebody now takes that result of that data to represent a general place outside of the region without putting it there, that the survey or the result is coming from a region, and not giving the context of, oh, there might be differences in the region in which he's doing that. Why the data the person is sharing is truth, it's now kind of like a partisan truth because it's tilted towards one side, and the result might not probably be obtainable when we do the same thing that led to that result again. So now, a very important thing in all of this when we are verifying information can either exist as text, photo, or video. And I think those are the three things that we kind of like fact check. It's either it's a statement, which is text also, can be transcribed, it can be an audio, it can be a written text like an article, a blog, or anything, a statement, or it can be an image, or it can be a video. Those are literally the source, different forms in which information can exist. So how do we verify each of these sources? So that's going to probably take me to the first aspect of this, the first part of what I'm going to be talking about, and that's literally me talking about sourcing rules. Because for fact checking, what we are always trying to go back to check, don't forget that I said But a fact is something that has evidence and it can be substantiated. So to do a fact check, we are going back to the source to check from the source how accurate is this thing. So sorry, I'm trying to share my screen now. Can you still hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think I'm unable to share my screen. Host the stable participant from sharing screen. So come my own set with that, please.
I will fix that. I'll fix that down. Sorry. So I should have done that earlier. Apologies, please.
Thank you. That's no problem. Okay, thank you.
You can check back now.
Can you see my screen yet? Sorry, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. It just popped up.
Just to confirm, you are looking at a slide that has gatekeeper and news literacy, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
it's visible.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Misinformation, disinformation, or whatever times that it is known by, it's not something that just started existing now. It has existed right from time. It has been a tactics that is mainly used for war and propaganda right in the days. But now with the proliferation of the internet and social media, the reach and extent of misinformation is kind of like now bigger than what it was in the past. So back then when there was no social media, or social media was not as rampant as this, there is still an editorial process that helps to curtail a bit of this misinformation. Newsrooms were mostly the source of information back then, aside from other authorities. So there were gatekeepers then. Every editor serves as a gatekeeper for every article that is coming from his or her newsroom. So they kind of like, they were the one responsible to fact check these things, to check, okay, how accurate is this and all of that. But with social media, there is sort of like no gatekeeper, there is free entry. Anybody can decide and wake up someday and post anything that they feel like. So now, how do we now discern what is true from what is not? I think I should probably just discuss this first. Okay, so misinformation, disinformation, how do they differ? Just like Mr. Abibas earlier stated, disinformation and misinformation basically differs based on their intents. Why is it being shared? Why this information is it shared intentionally? And there are different reasons why people share disinformation. It can be for money, political gain, to cause confusion, or to sow mistrust. A specific example in different regards can be people that share health misinformation online. They mainly do it for money. They mostly do it for money. If you put this plant and that plant, cook it together and drink it, gives you cure this and that. It's mainly for money and all of that. Then for political gain, those ones are the kind of like very rampant among politicians and during electioneering period. Then to cause confusion, yeah, these are like everyday thing. Why they do it, you kind of don't know, but they do it intentionally. They kind of like try to twist the truth or fabricate falsehood and try to make it appear as though it is true. That's disinformation. Why misinformation? This is kind of like people do this without intending to do it, so it's unintentional. And why people do it most times is because they are fearful, they are scared. A typical example is the Ebola thing. A lot of people that are called, every parent kind of around that time, most parents called their children or family members to say, oh, bathe with salt water and all of that, because they are scared that they don't want their loved ones to die. So because of help and out of passion that they do this one. So misinformation and disinformation, both are false information, but they differ based on intent. So now there are 7, according to Clearwater of False Draft News, there are 7 common typologies of misinformation. In this regard, fake news in general, we are not trying to use fake news here. Whether misinformation, disinformation, any of these 7 can kind of like tilt towards whether it is this or miss, depending on the context. But the 7 are literally satire or parody, misleading content, imposter content, fabricated content, manipulated content, false context, and false connection. I'm just going to give a very brief explanation into each now. So satire or parody, it's literally content. They have no intention to cause harm. They're just meant to humor you. They are meant to make you laugh. So they are presented to fool people. A very specific example of this kind of information is I don't know if you've cartoonists on popular dailies where you see they draw Buhari's head is bigger than his body, draw a chain, draw a train to represent something, probably an economy, and all of this. These things might be a reflection of reality or not, but they are meant to like make you laugh. At the same time, they might be to pass information, but it is not meant to cause any harm. But there have been instances where people have taken this thing out of proportion or used it to kind of like represent their own personal biases and say, oh, this person says this, without giving the context that, oh yeah, it's a satire when the person shared it. Another one is a parody. A parody account is an account that tries to mimic the attributes of an original account. Say, okay, this is a very specific example are these 2 images. GRV, that's Gbadebo Rose-Vivo, was governorship candidate for Labour Party in the last general election in Lagos State. So these are 2 accounts that purport to be his own. Yeah, why one says fan? Anybody that is just searching for this one on the right here can claim to be this person if people do not check, and there are instances where information from the fan account is taken to be from him. Why ways to identify this can be, okay, this blue mark check back in the days, but now X is selling its verification, so we don't even know who is who based on the blue tick again. So using a parody account, there can also be imposter content. So imposter content is you are sharing information as something that you are not or as someone you are not. Say somebody is claiming to be the president now, create an account for the president, buy the blue tick verification, then decide how to share information on the page. Because people kind of like believe it's an authority, they kind of believe it, but it's an imposter. The person is just trying to mimic who they are not. Then there's fabricated content. So yeah, this is a content that is 100% false and it is created to deceive and harm. So a very specific example is the image here. Buhari releasing a poster that Nigerian himself put Twitter. I don't think it's ever possible in this world that Buhari will come up and say this thing. But yeah, people did this and it was from social media that we got this from. Then there is misleading content. Misleading content is literally to frame an issue or an individual. So just trying to say the information is kind of like truth, but it is presented in a way that it distorts its meaning. A very specific example are clickbaits. Clickbaits where all these marketers, they mostly do this. 10 ways to do this thing, then you open it, you can't even find one way. They are talking about something different. So the headline does not even correlate to the content. A very specific example was during COVID. Yeah, there was a video that circulated and shared that community-based testing for COVID-19 is not true. While the video states that, yeah, it's not true. But the news actually is, okay, yeah, the news was that COVID-19 tests are performed by a mouth swab, which is clinically, yeah, the news really then was, okay, they do blood and DNA tests because of COVID-19. Where that is false, testing is being done, but there is no blood or DNA testing then. So it's just a mouth swab thing. But people try like to create fear and all of sorts in the mind of people. So these is another form of misinformation. Then there is false connection. False connection in the sense that the headline in this image by the left-hand side here, Russian boats behind false claim Muslim woman ignore victim of Westminster terror attack. And the image that is here, I don't know, the connection between the two kind of like seems blurry. Where is the terror attack in this image? So it's just like, it might be probably a regular image on the internet and somebody decides to bring it to represent this story just to create the impression of what they want to create. Then there is false context. There is a context, and information is being shared without presenting the necessary context to it. A typical example is this claim here that says lecturer commands students to hold vicious snake for extra mark. When you see the word vicious snake, you scare away, like, why will lecturer do that? You are already mad. But in essence, what happened in this when we checked was it wasn't even a vicious snake. The snake is vicious, but it has been tamed and trained. So because they removed the context of, oh, this snake is tamed and domesticated, it removes every sense of truth from this particular claim. And that is that on the different typologies of misinformation. So now, when we are trying to check or when we are trying to fact check, what do we do? First off, the very important rule, and maybe one of the most important rule after identifying a claim, is to check the source. What does the source says? And the sourcing rule for fact checking is no different from the general sourcing rule in the general practice of journalism. So the key to neighborhood news sourcing is there are 5 important sourcing rules. So named sources over unnamed sources. In fact checking, we do not fact check based on unnamed source, unless it is like extremely important. Say we are trying to say we are hiding the source, the name of the source, and that one, the fact checker kind of like no, and there is probably another information that you're trying to cover up for that. You're not just going to say you fact checked and the source of your verdict is an unnamed source. It doesn't hold any water. So it has to be a named source, because it has to be a source that people can go back and confirm what you said with at any time. And that is what makes it a fact check, really. Then an authoritative source over a random source. When NBC shares statistics and a politician quotes that statistics probably out of proportion against what was quoted, the only source we are checking against is NBC, not one random social media statistics, because they are not authoritative. So for every issue or for every theme that we are fact checking, the authority on that matter is very important, because we are trying to confirm what the authority is saying. So for every instance, we are always more concerned about the authority on every issue. So there is one check that we did one time like that involves the defense staff, army defense. It's a security issue. In that regards, the authority is the army. So somebody now comes and say, oh, how can we base the fact check on the said authority in that regard? It doesn't just, like what court it is really just, the authority is the authority. Whether you disagree with them or not, they are still the authority. So an authoritative source is always to be picked and what used for a fact check over random sources. Then independent sources over self-interested sources. This is where the issue of partisanship comes in. While it is true that people will try to twist checks to favor what they want, and so that is why it is very important that as a fact checker, you don't go to self-interested sources to confirm stories or to confirm information. It's always the independent source. Say there is an issue around APC policy, you don't go to a member of APC to verify that kind of information. Why? Because no matter what, he's always still trying to protect is always going to try to like sugarcoat that information for you, no matter how reliable that person can be. So it's very important that you go for an independent source. A source that an independent source is literally somebody that is very neutral. He might have a stake in the issue, but his stake is not sufficient enough to alter his perception or decision on the state of the issue, because it's very rare to find sources that are like truly and entirely independent in its real sense. But yeah, independent source is literally just the person is not partisan, the stake of the person is not very high in the matter. Then verifiable sources over assertive sources. Verifiable sources are sources that in research, there's always this thing that you said about reliability and validity. Reliability, which means the consistency of a result over time, while validity is the authenticity. So now, for a fact check, we are going to be considering both reliability and validity now, which in essence translates to the verifiability of that result, of that source, in the sense that if you go back to the same source to ask the same information, you are most likely to get the same result as the one you are presenting for us in your fact check. So for every fact check report, it is why we have the session. For us, we title it as verification process. So this is where we explain the process that we take. So the whole point of that is, even you as an audience or as a consumer of the fact check reports, if you take the process as we outlined it, you are going to arrive at the same results as the verdict of our fact check. That is why we have it there. So your source must be very viable. It must be something that anybody can go back and check with, and not something that only you knows and you are just telling us it's assertive. No, it's not. It cannot work. There are multiple sources over single sources. Yeah, this is very important. This is why in media and information literacy classes, a very important way that we always preach, okay, how you can fact check yourself is check from multiple reliable platforms. Why? Because if one platform is wrong, the chances that several platforms will be wrong at the same time, this is kind of like hard to say now, because even with social media, where some newsrooms now depend on social media for their information, makes everything difficult. But it's meant to be like, according to standard practice and ethical practice, multiple platforms should not report. It's on a very rare occasion that you see multiple platforms reporting fake news as the real thing. So there is always that contradiction in it. So yeah, when we are checking for any information as far as sourcing is concerned, the sourcing rule is all that matters, and those are the 5 ones that I've mentioned now. So when we are fact checking a claim, say a text, the first and the most important part of it is now identify the source. Who is the authority in this case? Say Tinubu makes a statement and we kind of feel it's not accurate. If Tinubu as a president, if there are data to back up the claim, our source will probably be the organization or the body that issues out the data. If Tinubu quotes a data from World Health Organization, our source now, despite Tinubu being the #1 citizen in Nigeria, our source is not Tinubu. Our source is the organization, the body that issues the data that Tinubu is trying to quote. That is our source in this guide. So let's say Tinubu is quoting a World Health Organization data that says this, and that. Our source is World Health Organization database. And now, when we are checking the source, we are not just checking the source to confirm, oh, is it there or not? we are trying to check the context also, because for data primarily and statistics, context is utmost important. It's as important as the claim itself. And I should just chip this in now, that there are basically two types of sources. There are primary source and there are secondary sources. Primary source are the direct source, in the sense that the original source where the issue originates from. If Mr. Habib Adisa makes a statement now, he witnessed something and gave an account of it, is a primary source because he witnessed it. But if Mr. Habib Adisa is reporting something that somebody else has told him, like there is a transfer of information in one form or the other, then it becomes a secondary source, because it's not coming directly from the original source now. So in fact checking, we most likely prefer the primary source. If you can reach the primary source, don't go for the secondary source. If you want to confirm an information about a particular somebody, okay, now there was an issue, there was a time where Seun Okinbaloye's sack was trending on Twitter. In that case, Seun Okinbaloye is the main subject of the issue. So the primary source is going to be Seun Okinbaloye, or maybe his organization in that research, because they are the parties involved in the issue. Why the secondary source can now be maybe other platforms that are reporting, or maybe it is false, it is true, it is not, and all of those are secondary sources. So if you want to do a fact check, you cannot depend on what Arise TV said about Seun Okinbaloye, because Arise TV and Seun Okinbaloye are not very related. And so it's very important that you go to the primary source. It's only in the instance where the primary source and is unreachable, or you can see another secondary source that is quoting the primary source and the secondary source is credible. That is when you cannot use a secondary source. So before I move from this sourcing thing, then it's very important that I also mention credibility of sources. So for every source, it's very important that you determine how credible and accurate it is. And how do you do this? There are about 4 or 5 things that you might want to check for with every sources. Number one is who is the publisher, the author, like the source, who is the author, who is the party, like who is that source? Then the source background, literally say the author's background, then the platform in which the source is putting out the information. Say for instance now, if one thing that we usually do these days, mostly now, is Twitter has become like a public space where everybody kind of like go to. If there is a trending issue, if most debunks are on Twitter now, if Tinubu wants to debunk an information, we mostly go to Twitter first. So we kind of like try to check, okay, all of their social media platforms. So, but the downside to all of these things is parody accounts that are kind of like trying to mimic and manipulate information based on this. But it's very important that you check for the background. So when you see a claim somewhere, what you're trying to check first is, okay, what is the background of this person? How often? You might want to like scroll through the page or what they've been sharing in the past to get a sense of, okay, have they shared misinformation before? Say for instance now, off camera, please. If Sarah Reporter share a piece of information and Punch share another piece of information, and most likely I will check what Sarah Reporter shared twice before checking what the Punch shared. I don't know if it's my personal bias or something, but really, the point is, there are some platforms that you just know they've been found wanting before in the past, and that's a pointer to it that, oh, if they can share it first one time, they might probably share it again. So when you see an information that seems too good on that platform, it raises eyebrow. There is even this popular mantra on Twitter or anecdotes that is going on that anything that the Nigerian government debunks is most likely true. I don't know, but I heard it. So that the whole point is the credibility of the source is very important. trying to figure, okay, what has this source? What have they been doing in the past? How credible are they and all of that? Then the publication's reputation. Yeah, that's where the Harry Potter example, I think that's explanatory. Then cross-referencing with other reliable sources. Okay, if you get a information from one source, can you get the same information from other sources if you check to confirm? And that's literally that's about sourcing. Another very important tool that comes handy as a fact checker is critical thinking. For every evidence, there are literally things to check for. Okay, does it conform to the truth? Does it represent what you are looking for? Not what you are looking for as in your bias. Does it speak to the truth? That's what I'm saying. Like the context, is the context the same as the context in which you are looking at? Then so what are now some fact-checking tools and resources that we use? Okay. Very importantly, when we are checking for text, I'm going to take it text, image, and video, like these tools, some tools that we use for each of this. When we are trying to fact check a statement, a text, article, or what have you, our very first point of call is contacting the source who made the claim. Oh, yeah, is it true that you made this claim, blah, 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 blah? And if they can explain and give background to what they are saying. So you are not just fact-checking what it is not fact-checkable kind of thing. There are instances where, okay, there is a YouTube show that I saw yesterday. It's an interview between pro-Tinubu and anti-Tinubu supporters. There are a lot of claims they were made in that video, but it's very important now that I cannot take the context of what they are saying outside of the argument of Tinubu's government is what they are having argument upon. They make claim that does not relate to those. But if I'm taking that claim outside of that context, I would just be merry-go-rounding around the same circle because I cannot fact check it. It is their opinion. It does not count. It's not facts. So it is very important. Yeah, now we go back to the source. Okay, what is the context? What do you mean? All of that. That is not very important, but it is good. It's something that can be done. But then after getting the context and the right context, a very good thing to do next is now let's check multiple platforms. Multiple platform reporting. Okay, say she will claim that President Buhari raised Boko Haram flag during his tenure and it's treasonable and all of that. Okay, how many platforms is reporting that Buhari did what she would have said Buhari did? That is our first point of check when it comes to like statements or claims that are text based. If many platforms report it, it does not mean it is true, one. But if many platforms do not report it, it does not mean it is not true also. But it kind of like tell us, oh, it might be worth checking and it might be something that we need to like focus mostly upon. So now in that regard, what we are trying to do is backtrack to when Chiwore was referring to, if we can find as many news stories as we can, then we find it. So, sorry. So when we get the sourcing, okay, now we've gotten the sources right, and we've identified what the claim is truly. Yeah, we cannot reach out to probably a spokesperson of Buhari to say this has been claimed about your principal, all of that. That is if we cannot find information on that. Then another point of call is now, okay, Shore is claiming this is treasonable. What does the Nigeria Constitution have to say about this thing? Does holding Boko Haram flag treasonable? Is the context of as Shore is presenting it, is it accurate? So this is what we check for in statement claims as this. But if it is an image, okay, somebody posts an image. So we posted an image to represent the same claim now. We saw the image. So what do we do with the image? First point of call for us is we're always trying to like do a reverse search image. And what this does is it pulls out every data on that image, say when it has been posted before, what was the context in which it was posted before, who posted it before. That is if it exists online. So what happens if you search something on Google reverse image search or TinEye or other image reverse search platform that exist, and you did not find a result? That does not mean the image is original. It might point to the fact that, okay, maybe it has not been posted online before, because how Google reverse image search works is literally it goes out and pull out things that have been posted online. If I take a picture and I decide to keep it on my phone, I did not post it online in 2015, and no copy of that image has existed online before, I now use it to claim something in 2023. If you do reverse image search multiple times, you will get no results. Why? Because the image does not exist online. So that's why it is important that the fact that you did reverse image search and you don't get a result does not necessarily mean it is 100% original. Google has the largest database. So if Google cannot find it, and last I know, I'm not sure if data privacy is that worse, that when I take image on my phone without posting or backing it up on any social media platform, it's going to get online. I don't think that is working that way yet. I don't know about tomorrow, but as far as it is now, I might decide to take an image, and I have an image of 2019 on my phone that I've never posted online. And I'm not sure anybody has posted it. So if I post that image to represent something that is happening in 2024, now that might be an issue, because you as a fact checker, if you depend on, oh, you've done reverse image search on that image, and that should tell you it is original. I'm sorry, it is not. So that is to say, when you are fact checking, using just one source of, say you are verifying and you are depending on just one particular verifying mechanism, might not be the go-to thing to do, might not be the best way to go about it. Because at the long run, if that your one method fail, what is your backup to ensure, oh, you are true? Because as fact checker, it makes no sense to now be wrong and have somebody else to come and now say, oh, even your fact check is wrong. So that's for Google reverse image. I'm going to do a bit of some practical while I showcase how these two work now. Sorry, I'm trying to. But before I do that, sorry, please, before I move on, does anybody have any question at this point before I move on? If you have any question, you can mute or use the chat box, or let me know if I can just move on.
I don't have a question for now. But I know that I have a question at the end for you, but I don't have.
Okay.
Yeah, I would also use the chat box if a question comes up. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, yeah, while I do not have a fact check handy now, like a claim to check, I'm just going to use FactCheckAfrica platform, probably checks that has been posted there, and use probably few of them to demonstrate this. Okay, yeah, this is a check on trying to find where is the check. Okay, there is a popular video on WhatsApp, yes, that claims Donald Trump will opposes Tinubu and endorses Peter Obi. I'm not sure the video is here. Okay, yeah, the video is here. Yeah, this is the video. Let's see it together, please. And yeah, we might probably want to watch out for some clues in the video.
Mustafa, I think you did not connect your audio or something.
Oh, okay. Let me try. Let me
Did
start
not share
sharing.
with audio also.
Okay, yeah, I will do that now.
Tinubu.
Can you hear the audio now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Is one of the most clueless presidents Nigeria has ever produced. If Nigeria must make progress, they must look for young, smart leaders like Peter Obi, who has an understanding of how economics works in governance and in diplomacy, not old men who can't stand by themselves. Who would sleep through meetings and conferences? Nigeria needs Peter Obi as their president if they must make genuine progress as a people.
Yeah, seeing that video, well, like, assumingly, you have just coming across this video for the first time. What do you think?
Um. So the audio sounds just about right. I don't know, but the audio sounded right. If I wasn't a fact checker, I would have been fooled. The only thing that I noticed, the only thing that I felt was off was the audience.
Okay.
So yes, I think that's just it on my end.
Anybody else, please? Thank you.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Okay, so what I noticed actually is the lip sync.
Thank you.
They are not they are not in sync with the audio. So I think that's one way to detect whether or not if a audio or a video is manipulated. So it's the lip sync.
And okay, in addition to that, the body movements, just look at the gestures, like the body movement doesn't sync or
It does not
doesn't align.
correlate with what you were saying. Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. I agree. Okay, yeah, those are literally things that, but now, like, those are probably clues that we can take from it. But mostly, like Sheye said, the lip syncing is actually a very big problem. Like, there is always this, the person that
Is one of the
edited
most
this tried their best. Like, it's almost a perfect job, really. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slow down the playing speed. Now play a portion of it. Try to watch the lips.
clueless presidents Nigeria has ever produced.
I don't know if you can see like some glitches in his teeth. The teeth were missing at some point. Some other parts there's glitches actually. But now, that's by the way. As a fact checker, you saw this video, watching it, you've identified this. But then, how do you explain it to your audience that wait, this thing is not true and it is not real? That is why it is very important that that's actually why we have a fact-checking report. So the whole point is, okay, why currently now there is no software that fact check say a video like in its entirety, like I can just run the entire video through a software and AI tool. I'm not sure if there is any for now. Mostly what we do is we do screenshots of keyframes to represent different motion and gestures in the video. They run it through Google reverse image search. It's scanned through the web, and if there are results from it, brings the result for us and we check. But what is very important in checking for as a fact checker, it's very important that you're very critical, like very, very critical. If you notice an extra movement that is not meant to be there. Okay, you probably see a video, somebody is talking, then you now see an extra hand movement at the end. It's worth checking. And how do you check it? Do a screenshot of the image. If you are using a Chrome browser like I am currently, you can always just right click on that particular image and do search with Google as this. Then Google Lens pops up. Or alternatively, you can open a new browser, a new tab, and just go to google.com. So if you go to google.com, there is this image search by image icon by the right hand side of the search bar, immediately after the audio button. The search by image, just click on it, then upload the image. That's if you already have it saved, or drag the image from wherever it is. It's going to bring the same results as this. So using this, so if you do a Google Lens search or Google reverse image search as this, so this is what Google does. Result for people who are limited. Most importantly, if you are using the image for a fact check, results that are kind of like underneath here are mostly probably videos where this guy appears, the subject in the video appears, any features that relate to somebody. That's kind of like where that's what the results brings back for you. But to know like the specific one that are most likely related to the image, that's where you have the see exact match. So these ones are like, at least to a very large extent, very closely related to what you're searching for that relates to that image. So see exact match. So this tells you the timestamp of different, like this one brings this timestamp. So this one is in March 1, 2024. This one is March 12, 2024. This is April 12. This is as back as, okay, March 25. This is June 2, 17 days ago. But another thing with this one is not all results here are accurate. So there are more, okay, see more search. It can go as far back as the first appearance. Okay, yeah, this is another one from August 2023. This tells you if somebody posted this video now to represent recency, something that is happening currently, or Donald Trump just made the statement yesterday, it's already false because this is 2023 already. So, and that's how the Google reverse image search thing works. Because when you search, you kind of see the dates when it is posted, who posted it, and the context. So I might decide to now click on any of these to see the video. So as a fact checker, the thing with it now is you might have to check all of this before you arrive at a reasonable conclusion, at a consistent finding of verdict, because these are like different people posting it. So when you sample this and you see, oh, what is the context in which all of them are posting? If it is similar, that may probably be, yeah, the representation of the truth, in the sense that, oh, if many people are posting this, okay, that might be hate. But that is not even the only thing. Remember, I said you cannot depend on just one method to fact check. So now let's go back to the check that we're referring to. Okay, so now, after using a reverse image search using Yandex and Bible, like, so 2017 publication, this was actually the results. Okay, the video was found through NBC News. NBC here is a reputable platform that can be trusted enough and that is credible enough to be trusted. So they reported that the video was used to represent Donald Trump's speech from 2017, which means this voice that we are hearing on top of the video is kind of like laced on top of it, and it's kind of like, it's a deep fake. So that is that for video. I think I've talked about text, video, and audio. Okay, now there are instances of links. When we are trying to check for links. Okay, so another form of information that's kind of like rampant these days is people posting link. Mostly these links are kind of like phishing links to collect data and fraud scam thing from people. Okay, a very specific example is this. NISC correction portal is available. First off, if you notice from official websites actually, they mostly have a special domain. By domain, I mean www dot something. Most academic organizations will always use .edu, .com, .edu.ng to represent their educational institution. Government offices will mostly use .gov. So Nigerian official portal, most ministries will have portal as probably Ministry of Finance, budgets.gov.ng, and the likes. But there's always that domain, special domain name of .gov.ng in government, for individual and organizations. There's always that tagline for it. So when you see something like this, NIMC's National Identification Management Commission, which is like an agency of the Nigerian government, they are now releasing a link that has cr.ee. That's like a very first point of red flag. So when the link was actually clicked, it led to something .blogspot.com. So the domain name kind of like gave this link off, but people will still feel it actually. So there are websites like Whois. What this website helps to do is it traces information about a particular website. It helps to it tells the status, the server, and who registered it. So it helps like give us backend information on the particular on any website whatsoever. Okay, so when this website is run, yeah, Lisa, I saw your hand raised. Do you have a question?
Yeah, so just to add to this phishing thing, links by Nigeria, I think some people added, I noticed it recently, especially during 2023 elections. Some people actually, if they want to create or if they want to pass any information, let's say for their political gain, what they do is that they use a particular software called, this is just an app called the HTTP tracker. So what the HTTP tracker does is that it copies or it mirrors an entire website. So when you mirror or when you copy an entire website, you can just go and say that, okay, let's say if it is a NIMSI website or an INEC website, you can just go and say INEC.com, or let's say instead of INEC.gov.ng. So what they do is that when they mirror that website, you are going to have like the holistic, almost everything on the information of that website of INEC is going to be on that dummy website or on that fake website that they just launched and they hosted. So I think people need to be educated on that using the HTTP tracker or the website copier, because what the website copier does is that it mirrors an entire website. So when you log in, when you go into the website, you see that there is no difference between the original website and this new website that they have just launched. But I also realized that when I did a research on that, and I found out that it has to do with the hosting or the hosting companies, because the hosting companies normally give people need to pay an extra amount of money for them to block those kind of let's say softwares that mirror or copy websites. So if people are hosting their website, they can be able to have or add a layer of security. It will stop those websites or those softwares that can mirror or copy listing websites. Like if you try to mirror or copy website of a particular bank, you find out that you can't. Just like you can not be able to photocopy the dollar or the pounds. So the bank tried to protect their website in a situation whereby people cannot copy or even mirror their websites. So that's just my contribution to this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much. I wholly agree with you actually. The phishing thing, as much as you can shout it has been in existence since when I can't remember, and people will still fall victim of it like over and over again. And as much as we are playing catch up with fact check, yeah, the perpetrators, they're always trying to devise new means every day and every now and then, yeah, really. But yeah, that's really it about phishing links. I think yeah, I think I will stop here for now. If you have any question, can ask them. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. So while others are preparing their questions, I would want to ask the same question I asked Mr. Habib. What's the most intense or difficult, or what was the most problematic fact claim that you had to fact check?
Most problematic. Okay. Most notably, I think one that is kind of like general. I don't know if it's only me. The Yes Daddy audio, Peter Obi and Bishop Oyedepo. It's still one that stand up and trouble my mind see now because of the struggle. I'm not sure if we are able to. We didn't do it because it's just very difficult to ascertain if because there was the issue of privacy rights to it. So we cannot just go back to network provider to provide the original copy of the audio if that exists. And the parties involved are debunking this. Other people are saying no, it is it is right and all of that. Yeah, that is one. Another one that comes to mind is yeah, that was the one of the Emir Palace of the Emir of Lawrence Palace where people there was a video that was posted to say people were chanting Ibn Power at the governor then. And yeah, the video has like several elements to it. The video is very blurred, very unclear, that you cannot even probably see very well. Reverse image search is bringing different results each time you try to check with it. And there were like different news going around to debunk and all of that then. But yeah, we were able to do that one, chat. Well, those were really it for me. Yeah, Lisa.
Oh yeah, so I just wanted to ask, do you think there's a policy gap when it comes to this issue of addressing misinformation and fake news and all that? Because if you look at the Cybercrime Act and all those things that they do, there is not any clear-cut policy. Let's say for Nigeria as a nation, where this thing should be converted and all those things. Because what they did was, if you read the current let's say legislation or laws that we have, they are too draconian for this kind of things. Yes, we need something more digital, something more let's say something that goes something state of the art, something modern than all those dictatorial kind of this in policies and everything that they make. Thank you. Do you think there's a policy gap?
Absolutely, there's a policy gap. I'm not sure it's a Nigerian problem, but Nigeria's problem is kind of like much peculiar to this thing, but there is a policy gap really. Uh, more than policy gap in Nigeria, there is even the problem of implementation, but that's story for another day. Uh, but Nigeria really, the ones we have is Nigerian policy system. I don't know this personal. Why do I want to say off camera, please? Again. But Nigerian system is like playing using policy of 1990 to judge issues of 2024. Like things has evolved beyond what we still have existing typical Nigerian constitution too. I did not say that. Yeah, so I totally admit that there is a policy gap. But yeah, um the Ministry of Communication is showing a little bit of is bit of hope. It recently launched a policy strategy, like a strategy map for AI governance and stuff. I haven't read it, so I don't know what is there yet and if it is workable or not. But yeah, it is what it is. Okay, what are some best practices for documenting and presenting fact-checking findings, especially in high pressure situation? Number one, there is no scoop to break for a fact check. You don't rush to break any scoop. Because one problem is it's a fact check is meant to be like a last line of defense thing. So you miss it, it is wrong. So there is no scoop to break when it comes to fact checking. You just have to get it right and get it right. And yeah, okay, there is one thing that I'm beginning to see. I'm still weighing the pros and cons. Okay, uploading a fact check and now updating it based on evolving trend. Yeah, that I think that makes sense in the high pressure situation. Okay, we've checked, we couldn't find anything as of now, but we are still skeptical about it. That kind of thing. I think that works. But just coming to say something is outrightly false or it is true when you don't have enough evidence to back it. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense because we should not have to be fact checking a fact checker's work at the long run. Because as a fact checker, you are under the urgency. You are trying to protect the truth and the sanctity of truth. You are not in competition with anybody. So there is no need for urgency and trying to break scoop or anything like that. I think that's one thing that I think is best practice. So do it correct, do it well and well enough that when it's out and it's the truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you. What of
Thank you, Mustafa.
verification handbook? I don't know what that is. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
But Alisa, if you would want to speak about that, while questions are still coming in, we're behind time. So.
Okay, so there's this as far back as 2016, there's this verification handbook on datajournalism.com. So where you can be able to, it's just like a definitive guide to verifying digital content for emergency coverage. So I can be able to share it with this thing, with the group. Sorry, with the I'll share it on the WhatsApp this platform. If the moderators agree, you just go through it. It's
Yeah,
a
that's
complete guide.
fine. That's great.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you. So, are there any more questions? Mr. Habib, are you here?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
you
with you.
are. Okay. So I believe that we've come to the end because by 4 o'clock the sessions open by 2,
Actually,
close by
uh,
4.
actually, so like you've always done, you would want probably people on the call to review, just send their feedbacks on what they think about the section and what they've learned. Just maybe short word. We can put them together and still have it. And thank you everyone for joining, and we're grateful. Just hope you are able to learn one or two from this. So tomorrow, we'll continue tomorrow, and Mr. Sheye would do more of practical again because we want this to be like a recurrent kind of thing. So you might because there's something about having one thing done twice. So if Mr. Sheye comes again, and I'm sure he's going to recap all what I said and what Mr. Fast said, then do some kind of practical. You fact check together with him on the call. He will share his screen and do all that. Then would end up with Mr. Hafiz trying to do one or two things about SEO and WordPress. So it's going to be engaging tomorrow also, and I want us all to join the game and not reduce
Mr. Habib, can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can. At least I can hear you from my end.
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
So
Yeah,
I
you're
think,
audible.
yeah, I think you had like a network issue, so I'm not sure because you stopped speaking on my end. But basically, in conclusion, we've come to the end of the sessions. You can leave your reviews in the chat before you leave. And like you said, same time tomorrow, 2 to 4. Today's session was, what's that word? Nothing less of amazing, but it's a word like that. But yeah. So thank you again to the facilitators, Mr. Habib himself, and also Mustafa Lawa. It was insightful. I think I would resume fact checking claims again soon, but still the AI Journalism Fellowship Program. And like we said at the beginning, for those that were not here, fact checking is important, and one of the reasons why some of the persons here are from the AI Journalism Fellowship Program, and one of the reasons why we wanted to get them involved was I started to feel guilty that most of the facilitators would come and they would say, "Oh, I want to talk about fact checking," but this is a fact checking organization, and I know that they've taught you so much about that. So um, it's so nice to be here. You can also leave your reviews in the WhatsApp group also um after now. So I'm glad that we had a couple of you here. I'm glad that it was interactive, and I believe that it was an eye opener too. So you've learned a thing or two about fact checking. And when you come out with your certificate and they said, "Oh, you joined the AI Journalism Fellowship Program. It was held by Fact Check Africa, so you know about fact checking," you would say yes. So thank you. So you can just leave your reviews. I would end the call by 4:10. I can even end the call now. I'm sorry. Too much of AI journalism fellowship habits. Okay, goodbye everybody. See you tomorrow.
Attendance, please.
That was funny.
We are done with attendance, please.
Please, we are done with attendance. No more attendance. Attendance, yeah. Jamaica is here. Perfect score. I was telling her about that.
Yeah, perfect score.
Mm. Perfect score. Who was 110 again?
Father is still up there.
110.
110 is no. Tosin, is it Tosin? Mr. Tosin. I think Mr. Tosin.
Okay. 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 As a reminder, our closing ceremony is on Saturday. Yay. It's almost done.
Are we allowed to bring friends?
Eh? Please.
Are we allowed to invite friends?
I thought about that. I thought about that. Are we allowed to bring friends? Hey, you would answer that. Why you asking me?
And what can I ask you?
I think we're allowed to bring friends. We
We are
should.
allowed. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll go and share it out. At least. Friend of the graduate.
Yeah. Okay. So see you guys on Saturday. Goodbye. Oh, see you
See
guys
you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
It's on Saturday. See you tomorrow and see you on Saturday. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.